strategy, just trying to take a pit early and undercut your competitor to see if he can sneak through. Hits his stall nice and tidy. What's the time going to be like, though? As it ticks up, it is actually a fairly decent one, 8.3 seconds for Rodriguez, but he's not going to be the first out because
And Palacio's going to cut him.
Yeah. Palacio, who's already taken his pit stop, is well by, and oh boy, he is going to come back in right in the midst of Cristelli. No, actually, he's ahead of them. Cristelli and Morales are battling side by side themselves right now. And is that David with them? No, that's Kenny Rodriguez, actually.
Yeah, that's Kenny Rodriguez, who just came out of the pit lane, and he's right in the midst between Morales and Cristelli. And this was not what Kenny Rodriguez wanted. We talked about fast outlap, and well, he's not getting a fast outlap if he's watching a battle for first couple of corners. But now he has a great toe at least. He has the toe of Diego Morales to try and catch up to Teddy Lowendick. But this also has dire implications for his podium hopes, because that's Morales now ahead of him. And now Teddy Lowendick, if he gets wind of that, he has to be thinking that, oh boy, well, here goes my podium too, potentially.
Incredibly, we've only had one DNF so far. Frank Kroijmans has been raced. We still got 24 running. And this battle here on screen down into Lakaija going way wide. That's Palacio. No, that's Cochran. Cochran, who is yet to stop. That may have been intentional, letting these two through.
Yeah, Mark File. I don't think that was intentional. Mark File is yet to stop too, and here we see him coming to the inside. And yeah, that's Cochran just braking way too late on the outside and having to correct his car because he was never going to make that corner. And then he had to concede, let Mark File and Palacio through. And Cochran just coming into the pit lane as well with Mark File now on the main straight and just talking to Palacio. I think he's letting him by.
Also, Barrett pitted in front of them. So he is in. Cochran's in. Barrett's actually already out, it seems, as it's a relatively decent stop. At this point now, we're waiting on Genet, Margula, Lowendick, and File. There is one more that hasn't pitted. That is Hotham, who is not really in the hunt for the win. He's down in 16th.
Yeah, and once it all settles down, I'm really curious to see what can Palacio do and what can Diego Morales also do. Meanwhile, we're looking at the leader. We haven't talked about him much. Orno Genet. He spent the season in the shadow of James David, but right now he's got his chance to shine with everybody else in the front making mistakes. His consistency is coming through. Joe, well, we both have our opinions. Can Orno Genet win this race?
Oof, I honestly think that's going to be a tough ask, because I think Morales is going to wind up being fairly quick, and he's had his fresh car for a few moments now. So it might wind up seeing exactly where they come out in relation to each other to get a feel for Genet can retain the top spot. This is Morales on screen right now in the green and black car. He's rocking up behind Mark File, again, yet to stop, but also Julio Palacio, who has stopped.
Yeah, and Piotr Margula just pitted from the second place as well, and he's gonna drop well down the order. So, well, it's very interesting point in this race where we should look at the lap times. Morales last time by 156.4. He's down in 7th. Gonna get a couple of positions. Palacio 156.9. Let's see the fresh one. 56.3. Okay, that's a lot better for Palacio. Morales 55.8, half a second faster. And in comparison to the leader, Orno Genet, 156.8 last time by. So he's a second slower than Diego Morales, and he's half a second slower than Julio Palacio. But interestingly, he has a sizable lead. I'm just wondering, is it big enough?
Well, the Racing Gods seem to have been smiling on Morales, because he managed to get out ahead of Margula in the pit stops. They actually just went by Mark File, who we're still waiting to come in. About 14 and a half minutes left on the clock. I know we can't see it again, but that we'll try and keep you abreast if that does not return fairly soon. Still Genet and Lowendick, the only two to pit along with, or yet to pit along with File. And Genet is actually coming up to the pit entry fairly quickly.
Yeah, I think he has to do it soon. I mean, he's in the chicane right now. He has a lapped car in the form of Matt O'Dell ahead of him. Not that it matters to the decision. And he indeed does take it to the pit lane at the last possible second, trying to maximize his time there. Just a little tap of the brakes, answering your question from qualifying show. And here he comes breaking to the line, being very conservative about it, losing about half a second there. But now we'll have to wait and see. I think Genet drops back to the lead or comes back to the lead in real timing. Ted Lowendick will inherit the race lead for at least one lap, but where will he be in comparison to Palacio, to Morales? That's the real question. Palacio on the main straight right now.
Just as Genet is coming out, I don't think Palacio is going to be anywhere close to him. Lowendick able to save quite a bit of fuel today. So he circulates one more time. Genet returns in second due to him waiting fairly long to try and pit. I can tell you that File also kept going past the pit entry himself. So we're down to 2 left at this point. Morales up to P4. Lowendick, I'm pretty sure Lowendick will come out ahead of him based on the timing that I'm seeing.
Yeah. And now I'm wondering the gap between Genet and Palacio right now, 3.5 seconds, from according to our live timing, and that does seem rather accurate because Genet is just coming out of Seat and Palacio is coming out of Seat right now, and Palacio was about half a second faster consistently before the pit stops. Morales is even faster than the both. So the way this looks to me is that Morales is gonna catch up to Palacio. Palacio might just be able to catch up to Genet, and we have a 3-way fight for the race win.
And that is going to be fascinating to watch. Down into Lacaja one more time. Diego Morales and Mark File and Julio Palacio into that corner. So Lowendick, doubt he can go past this. Indeed, he immediately aims the car into the pit lane. Genet, who follows through the chicane, should be able to go on by.
Can I drop a soundbite in for our friend?
Go for it.
Ted Lowendick pitting in from the lead. Thank you.
Nicely done. Genet regains the lead, though, so it was a little bit short-lived. He's back out front. And here is this Rodriguez that we're looking on screen? Lowendick is out after Rodriguez, and it is a fairly hefty gap. Now, how about this? James David up to 7th, maybe 6th. He's got Ted Lowendick to his inside, and he gives him just enough room to get into P6. Now, unless he has an incredibly soft right foot, I do not expect him to be able to go all the way to the end of this race. We still got just about 11 minutes left to go.
Yeah, I don't think David's gonna be in the top 10 at this rate. Well, I'll have to wait and see. Actually, David's now 22 seconds behind the lead, 10th place. Richards 37 seconds. Oh, it's very close. And you could Richards, Tremblay, and Day as well in a bit of a back there. Actually, we could jump to that because it's actually quite good for 10th place. Chris Richards, Jean-Marc Tremblay, Raymond Day, all of them in a bit of a seesaw battle, 3-way fight for 10th place.
Yep, Richards at the front of the trio. Ooh, Jean-Marc Tremblay, not the best of exits out of Seat, but Day doesn't see any worth in trying to pass into Verts. Oh, in fact, he takes it in deep into that left-hander, and it climbs uphill over the crest, then towards Campsa.
And Days made already one mistake today on the braking into that next hairpin that's coming up, and he's being very cautious as a result of that. And that earlier mistake, well, it was him being a little bit indecisive after missing his braking zone. So now he's biding his time and understandably being a little bit careful with this turn.
So Diego Morales, who is in a legitimate third place, is looking at potential second as he stays right up on Palacio. That's Palacio in the orange, white, and black BMW, and the green and black Porsche belongs to Morales, who we ride on board with now inside the cockpit of the number 22. He's creeping in. Car looking like it's very good here for mechanical grip around Renault. As they come into Repsol, that'll take a pretty mighty move, so he decides better of it.
Might be trying into Seat there a little bit. He has a chance to brake later, looking to the inside indeed, and deciding to just wait. He has the car right where he wants it under braking. Unfortunately, not there on the straight line. We've seen how incredible the BMW is there, but Morales needs to get it done quickly. Even though in championship contention, championship-wise, he still has the edge over James David, who's had a horrible race. But he wants to also win this, and Genet is right now a little bit faster than Palacio, so he can't afford to bide his time or wait. He has to make the move now if he wants to still run down our race leader.
Early turn-in as well there from Palacio. I think he's definitely feeling threatened as Morales just fills those mirrors around every corner. What he really needs is to try and get himself a launch out of one of these quicker corners to have that better speed. Like you keep pointing out, the BMW able to out-drag the Porsche when they get to top end, coming up to Elf, which is what they're approaching here in a second off of New Holland. This is where Morales is just kicking that engine, hoping it can get maybe something more out of it, and it is not forthcoming as he does not close in on the 194.
No, he's not. He's kicking the firewall, but the problem is that the engine is in the rear, so it's not going to do anything. that's the downside. Yeah.
Well, through turn one more time. They stay in order. Genet, if you just joined us, is still our leader. This is the battle for second place. Margula has fallen off of this fight for the podium, back in fourth. And if you're wondering where James David is, it's a similar situation to last week where he's playing catch up and is still sitting in sixth position. But we don't expect him to stay there, as we think he'll have to take another pit stop, and this time another go down to the inside into Seat. You called it. That one worked out for Morales as he finally overtakes Palacio.
That was a great move too, very cleanly executed. And I think Palacio, by the time he noticed that there was going to be a car on the inside, yeah, he didn't fight it too hard. He tried to get a good exit in case there was a bubble from Morales, but he knew that that's not the fight he wants to take. He doesn't want to lose too much time here, and you can see Morales there defending the inside from the mighty straight line speed of the Beamer, and Palacio not even making an attempt to the inside. He's not even close to wanting to fight this. He's just biding his time and waiting, and kinda, I think, wanting Morales to catch up to Genet, because that's Palacio's chance for the win here. If Morales can catch up to Genet, and he certainly has a chance, we've seen how fast he is all throughout the season, then maybe something happens and Palacio can win this. Other than that, he's looking at P number 3 again.
Yeah. Gosh, such frustration, I'm sure, inside the number 194. Oh, and he's coming in. Oh no, excuse me, I'm watching James David rather right now with a similar paint scheme on some of these cars. So David finally takes his second stop. Now we are on board with Palacio, who we were just talking about, sticking right behind Diego Morales. Only 5 minutes left. David couldn't quite eke it out. Is he going to be able to come out within the top 10? It's going to be very, very close here.
And just behind the battle.
Yep, he's going to come out in 11th. Now, they do give points for farther down than 10th place. This is an F1 scoring. They actually give them all the way back beyond what they have in this field, down to 30th if enough cars show up. But at worst, he'll get 24th, which will be 7 points, which I don't believe will be his drop, as he does have a no score this season.
Yeah, so serious championship implications here as Day and Richards are actually fighting side by side right in front of David, and that could give David a couple of positions if he can catch up to them. This is a battle that's been going on for a while, but this time Richards managing to defend down the inside. And yeah, great battles going on all around the track, and this is really poising to be a grandstand finish here, especially between these guys. Once again, they gets a
Ooh.
better exit, and Richards makes a mistake, and he goes clean through. And next up, James David.
Off in the dirt, and he holds on to it. So Richards, unfortunately, slotted into 10th. David enjoying that, probably hoping that he could maybe make something of it and get by quickly in these last couple minutes. What about 2 or 3 laps to go? 2 laps to go, it seems.
Yeah, I think so. 2 laps to go with these guys, and well, in this battle we got David, we got Richards, and we got a pro driver.
So as they work their way through the chicane, Day leads the train of 3 off the corner, gets his nose into New Holland, but it looks like it pinches him slightly. Doesn't matter. Still finds the run off the final corner, and James David now back into the top 10.
So far, let's see how good of a run Richards can get with his BMW tow into turn number 1. And will he try to the inside? He looks at it, but no. David much better on the braking, and as a result of that, yeah, as you said, back on the top 10, and he's looking at 8 and 9 potentially here with 2 laps to go. Tremblay and Day are still within his grasp, but still not the point score David wanted from today.
They separate slightly. Genet, who is our leader, is got about a lap and a half to go. And this will be his first win of the season, but only his 3rd top 5, even though we are in round 9 today. That's if he stays where he is.
Yeah, he's been a consistent force all throughout the season in the upper end of the mid pack. You know, right behind Palacios been running away, and of course the top 2 have been running away, and then Genet's been right in the mix, 5th, 6th, 7th place, all around those positions. He's been a consistent force in the top 10, but this is really the best race he's run so far. Not only because he's leading this and in fact coming to the white flag right now, but also because he's been able to beat guys like Diego Morales, like Julio Palacio, and also his usual mid-pack contenders like Margula and those guys. He's been able to hold them well back, and just 1 lap to go, and he achieves what surely must be quite a, quite an awesome result for him in terms of feelings and confidence as well.
Finish first. First, you must finish, is the old racing adage.
Or
Genet,
be
hold on
finished.
to that one. I've heard that version as well, and it's just about as true. As Arnaud comes around Repsol, Morales, what was that last lap? 56.6 for Morales versus a 56.9, about 3/10 faster. Too little too late, though, and lap traffic also kind of getting in the way of our current championship leader, who should retain that points lead at this point. He just got on the radio. I couldn't tell if he was upset by that or if that was a thank you.
I think he was a little bit upset because Matt O'Dell didn't communicate it clearly enough. He waited at the racing line, and then he just kept going straight, and I think Morales was caught out by that, but I don't think Morales was too angry about it, just, giving him a mental note maybe.
James David has been the Canadian so far this season who has racked up more of the wins, but I think he's about to be joined by one of his fellow countrymen, because with just 3 corners left to go, 4 corners, I should say, for Arnaud Genet, down through Europe car and into the RACC chicane. All he has to do is be smooth on the power, and he is. Genet takes victory here in Barcelona, his first win of this season.
Yeah, awesome result, joined in the podium by Morales and Palacio. Meanwhile, 8th place is still getting better and better. 927 Jean-Marc Tremblay ahead of Raymond Day and ahead of James David as well. They come to the final corners, and I still can't tell who's going to finish 8th here, Joe.
All it's going to take is one little bobble. Jean-Marc Tremblay up at the front, who we ride on board with, looking back at Day and David. Is David going to be able to get by? He tries it, but it's just not to be. So they are going to finish in order. Tremblay in 8th, Day 9th, and David only good enough for P10. Wow.
That's certainly a surprise here, Joe, as we watch the rest of these guys come across the line. Certainly a surprising race and certainly a surprising evening full of racing action. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it more once we get back.
Certainly will. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Barcelona. Round 9 in the PRL GT4 Clubsport Series had some big implications, just like last week. Who would have thought a few rounds ago that this would be the situation that we're in, where Arnaud Genet took a maiden win, a very well-deserved win, and Diego Morales finished behind him in second, but extended his points lead by a huge gap over his main rival, Julio Palacio. Came home, guess where? In third once again. Piotr Margula was fourth today, and Kenny Rodriguez with a P5. Ted Lowendick climbed up to sixth, and Brett Barrett 15th to 7th today. Not too shabby. Jean-Marc Tremblay held off all comers for an 8th place, and Raymond Day was 9th, falling a little bit backwards. James David really falling backwards. He has lost a big chunk of points to Diego Morales by finishing 10th today.
Yep, and the next 4 drivers started exactly where they finished. Chris Richards, Spencer Semkovich, Mark File, and Sean Cochrane. Burn Daly 15, Brian Hodham 16th, ahead of another Brian Matthews in 17th, Philip Magnan 18th, Gary Schilling 19th, also the last driver on the lead lap with David Cristelli, Matt Odell, Aaron Law, and Sean Fox finishing 1 lap down. 2 drivers retired out of this event, Glenn Bowen and Frank Kroijmans in your 25 driver field.
To our second place finisher and still points leader in this series, Diego Morales. Diego, I have to admit, you seemed like a bit of an innocent victim in that wreck early on. Have you had a chance to go back and see what exactly happened, or are you still kind of confused?
Yeah, I look at the replay now. It seems that I made like a really late move to cover the inside, and I think that James didn't see Julio on the outside. Yeah, I don't know. I might be my fault, but I'm not quite sure. Not the way that I wanted that race to end for sure. But yeah, apologies for James if he thinks that I'm faulty there. But seriously, it was not intentional at all. I was trying just to cover the inside because I know that he had a good run on the inside. Yeah, but good race overall, good recover, and yeah, sad about the incidents.
Got so focused on the fact that he weaved, we didn't notice that he may have weaved in reaction to what you were doing. So we'll see what the stewards say in the end from that. But definitely, a critical moment here in the championship, because now you find yourself going into the final round, the 10th round, with an immense points lead. But you did mention that you don't particularly like Detroit. I think we talked about at one point. So, are the nerves still there? Is it still kind of like nothing safe?
Yeah, that track's not nothing safe at all, and that's why I was like fighting so hard here to keep the lead, because I knew that that track is quite hard to get it right, and there will be a lot of training this weekend, this week for that race. But I wanted really to get the win on this one, so that's why um, how can I say, wanted to get that victory.
Last question before we let you go. Speaking of victories, you now claimed pole number 5 today. So half of the season already, no matter what. I have to imagine that's probably going to come in handy in a week's time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I had good pace for qualifying the season overall. Made some mistakes on some races, but overall, I think that qualifies my strongest points. I think that James is really good at like the long runs, so it's hard to keep him behind. Uh, yeah, let's see how it ends.
I'm sure we certainly want to see how it ends just as much as you. Again, congratulations on a podium, and can't wait to see you at the finale.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Diego Morales, who is kind of pragmatic about today and always eyes on the prize. Next up, though, is Ozzy talking to a man who is maybe getting a little bit bored of finishing third here.
Yes, Julio Palacio. How many of those bronze medals do you want to collect on your trophy case?
Let me tell you guys, as you saw, I tried real hard to get up there, to stay up there. And it was just one of those things. And I knew at the end there, Diego had a little bit more pace. And it was just like, I just wanted to bring it home.
So, of course, the talking point of today, contact between the two championship leaders. You had a grandstand, you had a front seat to that. What happened in your opinion?
Yeah, I was just looking at the replay now. I think what really happened is I don't think James saw that I was there. I was kind of next to him and he went to the outside and he just, we just pinched and I got into the wall and then I hit him. And then I think as part of the braking, we ended up hitting Diego. So it was like in one fell swoop there, we had the top three basically out. And then I was able to recover, but I quickly realized that my car was damaged and I had no straightaway speed, which is really the only way to stay, close with the BMW. So it was just very, very tight racing there.
Yeah, it was very tight, but thankfully you were able to finish in the podium as well and claim your own position really. So Detroit coming up next week, the championship finale. Now, of course, in the championship you're looking at the bronze medal too. But how are you looking for Detroit? Do you like it, hate it, indifferent?
Yeah, I mean it's a very interesting track, right? I mean those street courses, there really isn't a lot of room for error, so it's going to have to be even tighter than what this race was. So we're just going to have to be careful. We're going to have to be lucky. I think luck is a huge thing, and just as people run through it, I mean it's a fantastic track. I don't think there's too many places for passing, so qual is going to be very important. But I know it's going to be a lot of fun and exciting, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make it as exciting as possible for everybody.
Well, we certainly hope for a good show. Thank you, Julio, and good luck next week.
Thank all of you. I really appreciate, and thanks to everyone and thanks to all the sponsors.
Indeed, thanks to all of them. And Joe, well, it was another interesting race at Barcelona, and now all we can do is look forward to the championship finally.
Absolutely. And I do see that our winner has shown up here. Just checking, see if we can get him in quick. So we do have Arnaud Genet that we're pulling in. And congratulations, Arnaud, your first win of the season. I'm sure, everybody always says sometimes luck is a part of racing, but I can't imagine you'll turn this one down.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was kind of sad to see my teammate having such a big accident on lap 3, I think. And I think Morales has also had a spin. So yeah, it was up for grabs, and I was really nervous. This is not the kind of racing I'm used to. I'm kind of used to follow my teammates and follow along. Fourth, fifth place. I've been doing pretty well lately, but yeah, this is very exciting for me to grab that win. And of course, at the end, I was threatened by Morales. I think Julio was in his way for a couple of laps, so that gave me the breathing space, you know, enough breathing space so I could win quite easily, if I can say that. I'm enjoying it every second of it.
Oh, I'm sure that's got to feel good to finally be on the top step, considering how much it has been hogged by Morales and David. Now, next round, we're heading to Detroit. Can you carry this on? Maybe try and survive? Will others fall by the wayside?
Yeah, I wish. I really wish. I'm gonna work hard this week so I can at least survive. Detroit is pretty hard. Those tight corners and of course those concrete walls are not forgiving at all. So I'm gonna practice hard. Play with my teammate as well. Learn from him, and I'm gonna try for at least a podium to finish well this season.
Something to gain from those around you. But of course, again, congratulations. Before we let you go, and as a parting thank you, is there anybody you want to thank or credit for this win today?
Well, of course, every sponsor of the league, you guys doing an amazing job. Bot Kicker and Sim Racing Canada, you guys doing a marvelous job. And of course, PRL for putting that that kind of all that kind of drivers all together. The level is very high this year for this summer, so I'm very glad I could be part of it.
Some stuff. We've certainly enjoyed covering it, and that was our winner, Arnaud Genet, who took the victory today. We do have some people we want to thank as well. Of course, the sponsors in this series, Ninja Trader, who can be found at ninjatrader.com. And of course, Sim Racing Canada, a new one this season for the GT4 Clubsport series. They can be found at simracingcanada.com. And finally, Butt Kicker. They are at thebuttkicker.com. Make sure and check out our ad page here on gsrc.com because we have over 1 million global monthly impressions on our channel. So if you want to advertise, this could be the place for you. Again, we have a link in the description below if you want to check that out. Thanks to the companies that provide our software and hardware for our broadcasts are listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lawn, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen, proud to get a hold of more of her work. And thanks to the team today, Ozzy, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, our social media is constantly active. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel. Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_RAM. And we've got a merchandise store linked in that description. You just click that if you want to go check that out, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. The next race, as we mentioned, going to be Detroit. That'll be Tuesday, August 17th for the finale at 9 p.m. Eastern for this season. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar, but stick around because the Porsche Owners Club is coming up in less than a half hour's time at Virginia International Raceway. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.